we're talking about Chicago. Chicago's been in the news a lot lately because it's so screwed up. It's just no one there seems to know what to do about the obvious problems they have there, the crime, the violence. And, they had a tree lighting ceremony that ends up a shooting, a multiple shooting, people dead, wounded. And Brandon Johnson just got up there and, as we heard, talked about guns on the street. He's talking about young people going to gatherings. He actually called a thug meetup a gathering, Christmas gathering. And the guns on the streets, that must be a big thing because that's all they could come up with. Too many guns. We need to do something about the guns. No, you need to do something about the people using the guns. And he doesn't want to do anything. He don't want to lose cred with his peeps, yo. And in the meantime, like I say many times, the bodies just stack up. They stack up because they just do not want to do anything that would make it seem like Trump or the Republicans or conservatives have any say over what's going on in Chicago. We don't need the National Guard. Oh, okay. Well, just keep stacking the bodies up then, because that seems to be all they care about. Cut off your nose to spite your face. There was the fire in the train. Oh, that wasn't a fire. It was a woman. A young woman, this is just a terrible story, was riding the wonderful public transportation they have there in Chicago. And a man who had been arrested already 70 times. They said 49. When I heard 49, I'm like, how the hell did this guy... how is he able to still be out and about with 49 arrests? It's 70. And this guy's violent. The judge in this case, well, where the hell is she? Oh, her. This one got me so mad when I read this because the judge just let him out. Just let this guy out. Let's see what... There it is. Oh, God. The guy, his name is Lawrence Reed. Lawrence Reed and the judge, Cook County Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez. She freed Reed on a felony aggravated battery charge for allegedly slapping a social worker so hard that she was knocked out during an August 19th assault inside the psychiatric ward of the McNeil Hospital, court records show. So the judge decided that this guy was too dangerous to the staff at the mental hospital. Too dangerous to the staff at the mental hospital. And said she couldn't just put him in jail. You can't just put crazy people in jail. So what did she decide? Put an ankle monitor on him, allow him 8 hours out of the place he was supposed to stay with the ankle monitor. And he just didn't adhere to the rules. Go figure that one out. A man who would go on to light a young woman on fire wouldn't pay attention to the ankle monitor rules. He lit a woman ablaze on a train in Chicago Wednesday. Was released by a judge in August. He hit someone so hard it knocked them out. A worker and a social worker. And they let him out. August, let's see, September, October, November. 3 months. He did this in August. And he's out walking the streets. And he winds up burning a woman, 60%. She might not even survive. Burns are terrible things to have to live through. And They can be very, very deadly. Reed could be seen on surveillance video flying off the handle as the social worker was speaking with him inside the locked ward. This is the social worker being hit when he was in the mental hospital. He became irate and slapped the victim in the face with an open palm. Her vision went black and she lost consciousness. One of the victim's coworkers rushed over and helped the victim walk down to her office. The victim taken to the ER, a cut on the cornea of her eye, optic nerve bruising, and a concussion. And Cook County Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez was forced to release Reed, who was charged with misdemeanor battery at the time because it wasn't then a felony. How is... I get so aggravated. This is because this is how they bring the violent crime numbers down. You see what they do? They take a nut, a violent felon like Lawrence Reed, and he smacks a woman in the face in a hospital, and they go, yeah, that's not a felony. Make that a misdemeanor, and that way we can go, hey, felonies are down. Look at what we did. We're so awesome that we lowered the felonies under our leadership. Yeah, because you reclassified felonies to be misdemeanors. Oh, my God. Yeah. At the time, the prosecutor also ran through Reed's extensive criminal history, which included a 2020 arson conviction for setting fire to a Chicago building. The defendant poses a real and present threat to the safety of, especially this victim, whoever else was working at the hospital that day, and the community as a whole. And what did they do? They let him out. They let him out. Too dangerous for the hospital, too dangerous for social workers. He didn't commit a bad enough crime to lock up. So what do we do with him? Let's let him out into the general public. Let's just put an ankle monitor on him and let him just be amongst the people of society. Until what? Until he lights a woman on fire. It's beyond all reason. This doesn't make sense. And it's like New York City and New York State, where Hochul decided to have bail reform. Same thing. The police departments and the powers that be decided to make felonies misdemeanors. This is happening in every single place that there is crime. They refuse to do anything real and effective about the actual crime, so they juggle the numbers. And then they say, look, crime's down. And even a blithering idiot can look around and go, yeah, I don't think crime's down. I don't see it that way. This looks like a lot of crime and a lot of violent people that are walking around amongst run the gamut. Women, children, people that work, innocent people that are trying to live their lives, and they're being assaulted by mental patients and violent felons. Oh, my God. Back in a flash. We're talking about, the problems with violent crime that Chicago is having. Brandon Johnson, the mayor over there, is just a walking disaster. He will make excuses for every single thing that happens under his watch as mayor, because he doesn't want to make it seem like he's agreeing with Trump and many other people that say, hey, you got a problem over there, and if you don't fix it, I'm going to send people in to fix it, like the National Guard. Look what happened in D.C. It really did have an effect on D.C.'s violent crime. And Brandon Johnson will not do anything of any substance. He comes up with these multi-million-dollar programs that do nothing to actually curtail violent crime in Chicago. And when things happen, like a shooting, a mass shooting in Chicago during a Christmas tree lighting celebration, Jesus, he just blames other people. Here he is. This is not about the shooting, but it just is indicative of what Brandon Johnson's all about. It's all about race. Everything he talks about has to be race. If someone criticizes him, they must be racist. If he wants to do something about the crime problem, he has to do it in a way where he won't look like he's doing anything against the black community in Chicago. So he doesn't look at gang problems. He doesn't look at the problems of illegitimate children, a 75 to 80% illegitimacy rate in the black community. There's no discipline. The schools aren't even allowed to discipline children anymore because it was deemed racist. So Brandon Johnson, he loves bringing the race angle into everything he says. And I didn't know this, but Trump seems to want a rematch for the Civil War. Yes, a rematch, redo. And here's Brandon Johnson somehow trying to make this sound legitimate.
So we know that the intentional attacks that are coming from the Trump administration and the extreme right in this country has very much been what I call it's an attempt to relitigate the Civil War. Right. They have not accepted the results that the North actually won. Right. Because if you look at all of the attacks, it's not just black cities. He's going after education, housing, transportation, good paying jobs, and healthcare. Those are literally the 5 demands of descendants of slaves post Civil War. So it's evident that they are not, committed to actually realizing the full dream of what this country can offer.
You lead a city that is rife with violent crime, that the vast majority of victims of these crimes are black people. And he just wants to make it sound like Trump is some kind of racist, that his doings as the president of the United States is somehow affecting Chicago in that way, in a way where black people are being somehow oppressed, or they're not getting the resources they need and the safety they want because Trump is relitigating the Civil War. I mean, how do you come up with this stuff, Brandon? He's so terrible at being the mayor of a city that has a large minority population, because he doesn't want to place any blame on any of that minority population. So he scrambles to try to find a relitigating of the Civil War by the lily-white president of the United States, instead of looking around at the issues and going, hey, black community, maybe we need to step up. Maybe the guys need to do something different than just running around, making kids that aren't going to be supervised, get no discipline, are raised by women that, I don't know, they don't seem to be that into disciplining and teaching the kids. And they just end up having a terrible situation in Chicago. And, people can say, oh, that's racist. Well, you could say it, but look around and be honest and think about what needs to be done. What really needs to be done? Consequence. People need to have consequences to their actions. And if that doesn't happen, then these young people gatherings, as Mayor Johnson put it, are going to continue. There was another story, I think it was in Queens, New York, perhaps, there was a street takeover in a pretty quiet neighborhood. And, they're doing donuts, and they lit a car on fire in the middle of the street, and it was very loud, and the people in the neighborhood called 911. Do you know they were told that it was a 311 issue? 311 is the information for the city. If you have a noise complaint and it's not an emergency, you call 311. If your heat doesn't work, things like that. The people were told there was a burning vehicle in the middle of the street with cars doing donuts around the burning vehicle, loud music, yelling, fights. And they're told, yeah, that's, what's the matter? The AC doesn't work? We'll send someone out next week to help you. That's what's happening. There aren't consequences. So why would you stop doing these things? And Johnson telling these youngsters, these little scalawags, that they shouldn't show up at these gatherings. What do you think that's going to do? Hey, now, don't you show up to these. It's all they have. It's all they know. There's no consequence to going to these except maybe getting shot and killed. But no one seems to care about that part of it, especially Mayor Johnson. He doesn't seem to care about the body count coming out of Chicago. It's just nothing is really being done. There's nothing of substance really being done in a lot of these big blue cities. They talk. They want money. That's a big thing. Oh, boy. You want the violence? You want to silence the violence? We need money. You're cutting our funding. No. Consequence. Use your police department. Use your judicial system to really turn the screws on people that are doing evil in these cities. Ben in D.C. What's up, Ben?
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Oi, good, man.
So, yeah, unfortunately in D.C., you're starting to see a lot of the stuff like immigrants riding around on mopeds with a complete disregard for traffic laws come back because the boot has been lifted off their throat. Unfortunately,
Right.
That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen.
It needs to stay there. Like the consequence and the authority needs to remain there, or it just turns back into what it was.
Like this guy in Chicago.
Yep.
There's the judge who let him out, by the way, the judge has all these old quotes where she says, like, if the defendant looks like me, I'm going to go easier on them. Which is, that's just blatantly unconstitutional, among a lot of other things.
Yeah, I saw some of those quotes. I also saw an interview she did where the interviewer asked her, why is diversity important in the judicial system? And my answer to that would have been, it's not. It's not. It's detrimental. Justice is blind. The blind justice. It's the woman blindfolded holding the scales. The law books are on the scales, and the rule of law is all that is supposed to be considered in order to get to the just decisions that need to be made in the judicial system. So bringing in diversity, and she said, because I could bring more to the bench, the judge's bench, with my experience of being a Latina woman. Why? What experience would you have that could possibly work its way into a system that is supposed to be blind to all that, to race, religion, background, whether you're rich or impoverished? All that's supposed to be inconsequential when it comes to the justice system. So if you're utilizing your own race when you look at a defendant and say, well, they look like me, let me, instead of doing what I should do, follow the rule of law, I'm going to do something just because that person is the same color as me or has the same religion or whatever it may be. That is so against every single thing that the American justice system is supposed to be about. So why is she bringing it up? And why isn't she being chastised for bringing up race as a judge?
What if I was a judge and I said my experience as a white man has made me a better judge?
Oh,
imagine
boy.
the public reaction to that.
Exactly. It's not only wrong regardless of what race is using their race as a part of their decision making, but the hypocrisy also in that what you just said. If it was a white judge saying my white experiences and seeing a defendant who's white in front of me, I may use my experiences to make this decision. There'd be an outcry to remove the guy from the bench, and he would probably be removed. This woman is utilizing race as a component of her decision making in the legal system. It's beyond ridiculous, and it should not be tolerated, but it will be. And it continues to be.
Right.
I don't know, Ben.
I don't know how to do it with both my parents are liberal. I don't know how to get through to people like them about this stuff. I really don't. I know you got to go, but that's
no, Ben, you're going to Thanksgiving over your parents?
Yeah, I am. I can't talk to them about politics.
I was going to say,
anymore.
What's that like?
Because they're boomers, and I talk to them, and every time I talk to them, one of them says diversity. I think diversity makes us all better. It's like, thanks, Mom. You got to grow up on Long Island when it was a pretty homogenous place. But I'm glad you think that now that you have enough money to avoid diversity, it should get shoved down everyone else's throat. I'm really glad.
Everyone else.
Thank you for the sanctimonious opinion.
Awesome. All right, Ben. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's so true. Oh my God. Boomers do have this reputation, and it's well earned. They definitely do this. They were raised in a certain way. They lived a certain life. Like, he was just saying, like Ben was just saying, his parents, his mom, living out on Long Island, lily white Long Island, unless you went to very few areas, Roosevelt and some places like that. But for the most part, they lived these lives. They bought houses that were dirt cheap, percentage-wise to their income, not even close to what it is today. It's so ridiculous. People can't buy houses. And then when they get older and now they're all taken care of, they could reflect on a life lived. They want everyone to do these things that they never would have done and never had to do. Live in a diverse neighborhood. Look, it sounds great. No one really wants to do that. No one really wants to do that. When you talk about a good neighborhood and a bad neighborhood, we know what people are saying. We just can't say it out loud in much detail. But boomers, they were looking for that American dream. And the American dream was living in a homogeneous white neighborhood with the white picket fence and the neighbors who were just like you, same ideology. And then the boomers sit there and tell their kids at Thanksgiving that they should embrace diversity and all these other nonsensical LGBTQ stuff. And, they're out there protesting in front of the retirement community. It's a retirement community. Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm supposed to be a boomer, but I just don't feel it. Sorry. I'm a traitor to the boomers. I can't fathom having that mindset. It's just not me. Guess I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know. I love my family, and I have, thank God, I have relatives that are older than me and doing very well, health-wise, And I will be seeing them. I'm going up to New York to see them for the first time in a couple of years. Sorry, my throat is so scratchy. Going to see them for the first time in a couple of years since I've been down in South Carolina for Thanksgiving. And I hear so many stories and I read so many stories and see memes and GIFs online on social media that show people just, it's a nightmare going to relatives' houses to spend the holidays because, liberal parents, conservative kids, or vice versa. And I am so lucky. My family would be considered monsters in the liberal community. We sit at the table, we eat, drink, laugh, and say stuff that is so horrific to liberals. And I couldn't be happier. I am so looking forward to that again. A couple of, you talk about, don't talk politics at the dinner table this Thanksgiving. A lot of people say that. There are things you don't talk about. Politics and what's the other thing you're not supposed to talk about? Money. Money's a big thing. And I get that. But politics, we talk about it and we laugh our asses off about it because we're all of kind of the same mindset. So I enjoy that. Love my family. Love them. Let's go to maybe Susan for a quickie. Susan, you got to make it quick. I'm running out of time for this segment. What's up?
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to what the mayor in Chicago said, that Trump is going after education. Yeah, he's going after education because minority children especially are disproportionately failing, and because of the public schools, because of the teachers union, because of the Department of Education. This rhetoric from these individuals, but you know what? There are a lot of minorities that are rising up. They saw that when Trump came in and got rid of some of the criminals, that they could actually breathe and go outside. So you know what? The truth will prevail and come out, I believe. I was born in Chicago, by the way.
Oh, I hope so. Was it during Prohibition?
Oh, darling, no, because it was just a few years before that.
Oh, I know you probably dated Al Capone. Thank you, Susan. I love Susan. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, Susan was bringing up the point of the Department of Education. That's a big issue with Trump and the Democrats. The second Trump said he wanted to dismantle the Department of Education, they lost their minds. And again, it's not based on any reality. It's all this, whatever Trump says and whatever he tries to do, we have to make sure everyone thinks that is terrible and wrong. So when Trump said we have to disassemble the Department of Education, they were like, look at Trump. He hates kids. He hates children. He doesn't want a future for our kids. It's like, it's not like, they are trying to tell the American people, or trying to convey to them, this idea that the Department of Education is education. That if you want to get rid of the Department of Education, you don't want children to be educated. And I could see how that would be easy to convince dummies, especially on the left, that that's exactly what it is. But it's not. The Department of Education is the furthest thing from actually educating the youth of this country. But, of course, Liz Warren, oh boy, oh Liz Warren, she thinks the Department of Education is just paramount. It is the most important part of teaching our youngsters here in America. And that because Trump wants to get rid of the Department of Education, he does not care about the future of our children. Let's listen, shall we? Liz?
Well, the Department of Education was created by Congress. The president does not have legal authority to tear it down. But also, who wants to tear down the department that is there for our children? Donald Trump and his Secretary of Education have already done everything they can to dismantle the department that makes sure that our kids with special needs actually get the help that they deserve, and tried to tear down the people who are trying to help our students who are dealing with student loans. You know, any country that treats its young people as badly as the Trump administration is doing is a country that does not believe in its own future.
And Larry Summers today said that he would be stepping aside from the OpenAI board. Is that enough?
Larry Summers has shown terrible judgment. I mean, like, historically bad judgment.
Yeah, we don't need to hear any more of that. That's just her, you know. I believe the children are our future. Yeah. Sing it. Sing it, Liz. Let them lead the way. The Department of Education has been a disaster in every way, shape, and form in this country for the youth, for all the kids going to school in this country, a disaster. And all it's there for, it's this giant bureaucratic organism that just sucks in money and doles it out to unions and other organizations and politicians. It consists of teachers that don't do their jobs and can't be fired. How about that? Like the judges, pretty much like the judges. Teachers can be completely incompetent, not do anything, have students that can't read or write once they leave their classrooms, and they just bring in another batch of kids for this wonderful teacher. And when they do something that needs some type of discipline, they put them in what's called a rubber room. And they still get paid, and then they wait a little while and then just send them to some other school. Much like the church with priests that get a little handsy. But so I wanted to know, like, the Department of Education, what have they done over the course of the years? Because I've always been from the school of thought that the United States of America and our education system and the students are amazing. They're great, right? We have to be, with all the money we have and all the resources that we have to be at the top of the list. Let's see. Department of Education. Let's see where it's brought us. Overall math and English proficiency in U.S. schools is declining, reaching historic lows in reading and math for high school seniors. Recent National Assessment of Educational Progress data shows only, I'm sure you're thinking, what could it be? What's the percentage? 22% of 12th graders are proficient in math and 35% in reading. That's proficient, not proficient. 22% of 12th graders are proficient in math and 35% in reading. That's what got us here, the Department of Education. And when you want to dismantle it and let the states come up with the curriculum and maybe let parents have a little more say into what the curriculum is and teach things like math and reading and history and science instead of LGBTQ studies and African studies and whatever else isn't going to teach you how to read or do math. And have discipline in the schools. But no, the Department of Education is a wonderful organization.